Our today's topic is vitamin C and scurvy. I'm Dr. Akhilendra, and as you all know, vitamin C is one of the most important vitamins which human body requires. It is a water soluble vitamin, so vitamin C cannot be stored inside our body. But there is one important thing about vitamin C is that it is not absorbed in our it is not stored inside our body, but it is rapidly absorbed by the tissues of the body. And vitamin C is found in higher concentration in pituitary gland as well as in adrenal gland. So this is the reason why we think that vitamin C is also important for neurotransmitter production and their function. Another important aspect about vitamin C is that it is usually absorbed from the upper part of small intestine. Okay, so it is absorbed either through active absorption, or if it is present in high concentration inside our gut, then it is simply absorbed by the simple diffusion due to its osmotic gradients. So where does we found vitamin C in the nature? So vitamin C is, or ascorbic acid, is found richly in the citrus fruits like lemon, lime, orange, tamarind, or Indian gooseberry, also known as amla. Amla is richest source of vitamin C, which we can easily found in India. Another important thing about vitamin C is that it is destroyed by prolonged heating, and it is also destroyed if it is stored for long time. So pasteurized milk or cow or any other animal's milk which is generally heated for a quite long time and at higher temperatures, these type of milk or diet are usually deficient in vitamin C. But vitamin C is found very richly in the breast milk. So usually the requirement of vitamin C is completed by breastfeeding only, but we have to supplement if patient is on cow milk or any other animal milk. So we have to supplement vitamin C in that child. Also, if child is on formula feed and it is not fortified by adequately by vitamin C, then we also require supplementing vitamin C in this child. So these are the general aspects about vitamin C. Now, what are the function of vitamin C in our body? So most important function is it is helpful in the hydroxylation of amino acid lysine and proline in collagen formation. So vitamin C is very important for the collagen formation. As I already told you that it is also important for neurotransmission function. So vitamin C helps in the conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine and tryptophan to serotonin. So these both are important neurotransmitters. It is also very important in cholesterol metabolism, and it converts cholesterol into the steroid hormones. So as steroids are stress hormones, and steroids are most important life saving, one of the most important life saving hormones. So vitamin C plays a very important part in our homeostasis. It is also useful in the biosynthesis of carnitine, and vitamin C is an antioxidant. Okay, so it helps in preventing oxidative injury and oxidative destruction of the cells. Vitamin C also enhance non-heme iron absorption, and it helps in the conversion of transferrin to ferritin. Now this tetrahydrofolic acid is important for the formation of in the formation of DNA inside for blood cells as well as in neural tissue. So this is important in formation of tetrahydrofolic acid. Now this list gives us detail about daily requirement or dietary required dietary allowance or RDA. So in pregnant or lactating women, vitamin C is required in higher amount as per the normal adult. It pregnancy about 85 milligram per day, and in lactation about 120 milligram per day is required, while it's usually required in higher amount in the infantile age group, and again it is required in higher amount in puberty. So these are RDA at different age for vitamin C. In adult it's usually required in 75 milligram per day for male and 65 for female. Now vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. In initial phases of scurvy, patient usually have signs and symptoms like low grade fever, irritability, digestive disturbances, loss of appetite, tachypnea, and then patient develop generalized tenderness, which is particularly seen in the legs, and baby start to cry when mother changes his or her diaper. So this is a noticeable change if patient or child has developing scurvy. Now due to this pain, patient generally lie down with the hips and knee in semi-flexed position and feet rotated outward, as well as we can see edematous swelling along the shaft of the legs. Okay, so this here we can see that hips and legs are externally rotated, patient is lying down, and edematous swelling along the shaft of the legs is here. This is known as pseudo paralysis or pseudo paralysis of Parrot. Now other features are subperiosteal hemorrhages at the end of the femur. This subperiosteal hemorrhage is visualized in the X-ray of knee joint or X-ray of leg. Now at costochondral junction we can see rosary and depression of the sternum. So this scorbutic rosary is different from the rosary which is found in the rickets. In scorbutic rosary, the angulation of these beads is usually sharper, And these rosary here we can see the angulation is sharp and rosaries are tender. Okay, but in rhaetic rosary these rosaries are not tender. So this differentiate scorbutic rosary from rhaetic rosary, that angulation is sharp and rosaries are tender. Now another change which we can see in gums, that there is gum bleeding present. So gum bleeding we can only see when teeth are erupted. So it is not seen in the infant, it is seen in older child. Either there will be fresh bleeding or bluish discoloration around this jaw, or a small petechial bleeding is present around the gums. But this is only seen in children who are grown, not seen in who have grown their teeth, not seen in infants or little children. Now another important thing is petechi. But the petechi in case of scurvy, this petechi is developed due to the capillary fragility, because vitamin C is important in collagen formation. So these hemorrhages or petechi are specific in the scurvy, and the characteristic feature is that the this kind of petechi are perifollicular, means these are surrounding hair follicles. So this type of petechi is seen in case of scurvy. Another important feature is radiological features which we can find in the child or in the patient suffering from scurvy. In early stages, changes are not that marked, and due to the trabecula and shaft cannot be discerned or differentiated from each other, the general appearance is of ground glass. Okay, and cortex is thin and epiphyseal ends of the bone are sharply outlined. So because in case of scurvy there is defect in osteoid formation, but mineral deposition or calcium and phosphate deposition is normal in case of vitamin C deficiency. So there is only defect in in osteoid formation or collagen formation, but calcium or mineral deposition is normal. So we found white line of Frankel, which is an irregular but thick white line at the metaphysis. This represents the zone of well calcified cartilage. The epiphyseal center of ossification also have a ground glass appearance, and these are surrounded by white ring. Now subperiosteal hemorrhages are not visible during the active phase. These hemorrhages are only visible during healing and can be seen as elevated periosteum. When elevated periosteum become calcified, and bone can be seen as dumbbell or club shaped. So in this X-ray here we can see this cortex has ground glass appearance. Okay, bone has ground glass appearance and cortex is thin and well calcified, sharply visible. So this is pencil fin cortex. Now here in this X-ray we can clearly see dark brightly demarcated white line and ground glass appearance. So this demarcated white line is known as white line of Frankel, and here in the epiphysis The zone of ossification is well calcified and ring like structure is formed, which is due to calcification. This is known as Wimberger's ring sign. In this X-ray here, this spur-like projection is seen. This is known as Falcon spur. Okay. Subperiosteal hemorrhage is not visible in this X-ray. Now, what are the laboratory parameters? We usually do not use laboratory parameter to detect scurvy. Generally, history and clinical examination is enough to diagnose a patient with scurvy, and it will never do any harm if we supplement any child, any even normal child, with vitamin C, because it is water soluble, and usually only when we provide very high amount of vitamin C, then it will cause hypervitaminosis. But in laboratory, if plasma ascorbate concentration is less than 0.2 milligram per deciliter, this is considered as deficient. Now, how will we treat? We give 100 to 200 milligram per day oral vitamin C for 3 months. This amount is generally found in 1 glass of orange juice, or we can give tablet or syrup. Generally Limc is there, but it is 500 milligram. So when will we suspect hypervitaminosis? Generally less than 2 gram per day dose of vitamin C is well tolerated, and it will not lead to any side effect. But if there is hypervitaminosis, then it can manifest in form of gastrointestinal upset and diarrhea due to osmotic diarrhea, and also there is risk of renal stones. Okay, so usually amount 500 milligram to 1 gram of vitamin C will not cause any damage if we supplement this, but treatment is only 100 to 200 milligram per day orally for 3 months, because usually the requirement of vitamin C ranges from 40 to 75 milligram per day, the RDA, and for treatment we can give more than 2 standard deviation of the dose. So this sums up our today's topic of vitamin C and scurvy. Thank you.